Despite being one of the characters that appear most frequently in the Peppa Pig series, Suzy Sheep has never appeared alongside her father.
Hello, Peppa!
And since her mother has appeared multiple times, this seems quite strange. It's hard to think about this without asking the question, where is Suzy Sheep's dad? Do you remember the episode where Suzy thinks she's going to move because her mom got a job on the other side of the world? It turned out that Mummy Sheep lost that job opportunity even before the trip started, and she seemed a bit sad about it. The reason for her sadness seems obvious. She thought she was getting a better job than her current one, but she lost that chance in an instant. However, some people believe the real reason Mummy Sheep accepted that position was to reunite with her husband, who lives abroad. Our guess is the United States. Suzy and her mom live in England, which is in a completely different continent. This is probably the least crazy and saddest of all the theories we discussed in this video, but it is quite possible. Suzy's dad may have simply moved to another country to work in a high-paying job. Most of his salary is probably used to cover Mummy Sheep's expenses. Maybe Suzy and her mom even travel occasionally to visit him, but this is never shown in the show. We bet the series will show him for the first time in some special episode. This theory is very interesting, but we're not stopping here. There are still many other possibilities about what happened to Suzy's dad, and we'll talk about all of them in this video. What if Suzy Sheep's dad is actually closer to us than we ever imagined? Although he has never been seen, it's possible his voice has appeared in every episode of the show. Yes, we're suggesting that Suzy's dad might very well be the narrator of Peppa Pig, who always steps in to clarify something that's happening, even when the situation is completely obvious. Both the narrator and Daddy Sheep have never been seen, and we have no clue what the narrator could actually be. Is he an invisible entity? A person spying on everyone through hidden cameras? Maybe the show will never reveal the truth about this mysterious figure. But one theory we cannot dismiss is that Suzy's dad somehow became the narrator, which explains his disappearance. You should know that magic exists in the Peppa Pig world, as magical beings like the Tooth Fairy appear in the series. Not to mention the various creatures featured in Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, another show by the creators of Peppa Pig, which very likely takes place in the same universe as Peppa's stories. So nothing stops the narrator from being a character with powers instead of just a storytelling resource for the show. But we can't even imagine why he would narrate Peppa's adventures. Wouldn't it make more sense for him to keep an eye on his own daughter? Well, maybe we can find the answer if we look at the situation from a bigger perspective. We know Daddy Sheep simply disappeared, and the theory that he became the narrator makes a lot of sense. But what if, after Daddy Sheep passed away, his spirit became a ghost, unable to rest until he saw his daughter grow up safely? But Suzy has always been a close friend of Peppa's, and since ghosts don't have much control over themselves, perhaps Suzy's wish for her best friend's safety caused Daddy Sheep's spirit to start watching over Peppa to ensure her well-being. In this way, he became the narrator. Luckily, Suzy keeps appearing in the series, so the narrator always has the chance to see his beloved daughter. But it's pretty sad to think that he's doomed to narrate the show's episodes until his daughter becomes an adult, isn't it? Now, let's think of another possibility. Daddy Sheep might have become the narrator even if he only fell into a coma instead of passing away, as there are many reports of people who entered a coma and claim to have left their bodies while unconscious. Whether these accounts are real or not is up to you to decide, but the show's creators might have drawn inspiration from these stories to create the narrator. If you think the narrator is hiding something from us, people comment below at #narrator. Since Daddy Sheep has never even been mentioned, it's quite possible that the answer to this mystery is darker than we imagine, especially because there are some hints that perhaps he passed away due to a serious illness. In the episode where Peppa's class visits Pedro Pony in the hospital, Suzy says he's probably sleeping because sick people sleep. We know Peppa's best friend dreams of becoming a nurse when she grows up, so we usually assume she read about this somewhere or just made it up. But what if that's not the case? Suzy makes this statement with a lot of confidence, perhaps because it was something her own mother told her when the little girl asked why her dad hadn't come home since he got sick. Suzy believes he's still sleeping, but in reality, Mummy Sheep might have given that answer because she didn't know how to explain to Suzy that her dad lost his life to the illness. Or maybe her mother wasn't really lying. Certain illnesses can cause terrible side effects, such as putting the sick person into a coma or vegetative state. In these cases, it's as if they are always asleep, with the possibility of waking up someday or remaining in that state forever. Perhaps that's why Peppa's best friend wants so badly to be a nurse, to be able to take care of her dad. But if Daddy Sheep is indeed in a coma or vegetative state, imagine seeing him wake up in a future episode of the series. It would be amazing and heartbreaking at the same time, since he'd realize he missed so many years of his life. But of course, Daddy Sheep would deal with it and would be immensely grateful to spend the rest of his time with Suzy and Mummy Sheep. This would definitely make for the best episode of the series. And if an episode like this is ever released, where Daddy Sheep wakes up after years in a coma, pay close attention. If the narrator stops talking right after Suzy's dad wakes up, it means they were the same person all along. There's another possibility that most people hadn't even considered. Suzy's dad might have physically appeared in the series already, to our surprise, and neither Peppa nor the audience noticed. So you're saying a character we've already seen was Suzy's dad this whole time? Exactly. And we're talking about Mr. Goat, who appears in that super fun arc of episodes where the pig family travels to Italy. You might think this doesn't make sense since he's not a sheep. Well, up until now, all the children in the series have parents of the same species. However, it's worth remembering that sheep and goats are very similar animals, so much so that they can have offspring together. Alright, now we know that Mr. Goat could theoretically father a child with Mummy Sheep, but beyond that, he lives in Italy, which explains why he never visits his daughter. If this theory is true, Mummy Sheep probably lived in Italy for a few years and was married to Mr. Goat until they divorced, after which she returned to her home country. That's why the pig family didn't know Mr. Goat when they met him in the Italy episode. Interestingly, just as Mummy Sheep is currently a single mother, Mr. Goat also seems to be a single father. He has a daughter named Gabriella Goat, and her mother has never appeared, even though her uncles have made an appearance. Gabriella seems to be about the same age as Suzy. So, did he have her with another woman, or is Gabriella also Mummy Sheep's daughter? Maybe they're even twins, with one taking after the father and the other taking after the mother. And just like in real life, the sisters might have been separated by their parents after the divorce. Either way, they are at least half-sisters. Assuming this theory is correct, do you think Suzy and Gabriella know about this, or did their parents keep it a secret from them? It's possible they don't know since Suzy has never mentioned it, and she would definitely have told Peppa, right? Imagine Peppa chatting with both her best friend's dad and sister without having any idea about their connection to Suzy. If this theory turns out to be true, it would be mind-blowing. And if you think Peppa Pig is also amazing, click the subscribe button. That way you'll always get our videos about the little pig and other incredible shows. But it could get even crazier. Another strong possibility is that Suzy is the daughter of none other than Santa Claus. Crazy, right? But let's look at the facts. Santa Claus is a human, but he clearly has magical powers and seems to have been alive for centuries. So it's not far-fetched to imagine that he would father children with beings of other species if such a thing is possible in the world of Peppa Pig. Moreover, the little sheep seems to have a habit of receiving very nice gifts, like a toy speedboat or a really expensive frisbee. It's almost as if she has a father with access to tons of toys who keeps sending her presents to make up for not having time to visit her. This could also explain why she's so bossy. The frequent gifts might have squoed her a bit. And let's not forget, Suzy can be a bit eccentric sometimes, right? That episode where she does everything she can to knock down a tree is one of the best examples of her mind working in a different way, maybe because she's the daughter of a magical being. The relationship between Mummy Sheep and Santa Claus was definitely kept a secret, as everyone would gossip about their family if they knew she had a child with Santa. That's probably why the two separated, and since Santa is always busy with work at his factory, he doesn't have time to visit his daughter. Or maybe Mummy Sheep doesn't even want him to visit, so Suzy can live a normal child's life. But if Peppa's best friend ever develops magical powers like her father, it will be hard for Mummy Sheep to keep this secret. And when that moment comes, we'll finally discover that this theory is true. We've left 2 awesome videos on your screen. Want to keep having fun? It's simple. Just pick the video that grabs your attention the most. Thanks, and see you next time.